What's up, everybody, and welcome to Driving the Line. I will be your host today. I am Daniel Greer, stepping in for Coach as he is out today. But we have a glorious show today coming on the day after Christmas. Everybody should be feeling good and all excited, and then the holiday spirit. But before we get into the show today, let's take a look back at how yesterday went. And it was kind of an iffy day. AB goes 3-2. The other guys, it wasn't great. Soupy did get into the club, so we have to give him his props for that. But you look at Charles 2-2, and producer man had that winning parlay. And I promise you, if you didn't think he talked a little trash, I love it. But I went, Coach goes 2-0 on his picks, and then Raphael splits, and then I hit with mine. But it was a good day overall for the brand. So make sure you tune in as we look at the rest of the week and what we have tuned in, especially Friday. My show, I'm going to prop it up. We got weekend wagers coming out. It's 3 p.m. Eastern on Friday, so make sure you tune in for that. But we have shows throughout the entire week, so make sure you are here and available. But the crew should be in a good mood today, in a good spirit, and tune in for the podcast that will come out later today. But we have so much to get into. We're going to recap what happened on Christmas within the NBA and the NFL. We also have Thursday night football. Then we have the weekend. There's so much happening, but let's bring in the guys and get to the picks. Yo, look at this crew. Let's go to the 5-star chef. He's had a probably a busy week leading up to this, and the new little one for the first Christmas. So good morning, Seabass.
Morning, DG. Morning, crew. Yeah, first Christmas for the baby was great. We're low key, but we're trying to get him to unwrap the presents, but he just kind of drooled on them. He doesn't quite have that skill set to tear the paper yet. I mean, he's only 2.5 months, but it was worth a shot. But no, it was good time, good fun.
It's the memories for the adults. The kids, not gonna have a clue, but the adults will enjoy every bit of it. But we have the other guy, another OG over here. We have Raphael. How are you? And good morning.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, crew. Hope everyone had a great Christmas. Christmas reminded me how many degenerates we have out there gambling. I was working, and the amount of money that was coming in on the NFL games and the 4 college basketball games and the NBA games. It just completely amazes me how people will gamble on any day of the week, whether if it's a holiday or not.
Yeah, it was definitely a degenerate day, as you could tell. I think everybody was fiending from not having anything on Christmas Eve, and we'll get into that, especially in the break. I have a good question for the guys here, but we have our other guy who's in the opposite of a sauna, but looks like he's in a sauna. Good morning, Peyton.
Yeah, it's about 10 degrees down here in the basement, guys. Morning, DG, morning, crew. In the grandparents' basement, we had a big Christmas party last night. It feels good to be back on the show this morning. A tough night last night, though, wagering in really if you went for NFL or NBA, really.
Yeah, you had to kind of limit yourself because I wasn't able to watch. I don't know how y'all all were, but I wasn't able to catch like a game like I normally do. So there was no live betting because I just felt uncomfortable overall. But before we speed up into the show, I forgot to do this. And so this was me. And listen, it's me and AB running the show today. So you know it's going to get screwed up. But let's look at the Howie Schwab play of the day for everybody we have here. And we have the Seahawks tonight, Thursday night football at -4, the Bears at +4. It's the over 42.5 or the under 42. So go ahead and vote there so we can find out what the crew is playing today on the backs of Howie Schwab. But last night it was definitely a weird game overall within the NFL. And Seabass, I'm going to get your take. So the Chiefs won 29-10 over Pittsburgh. Mahomes goes off for 320 passing yards on 3 TDs. Kelsey, 84 receiving yards on a touchdown. Xavier Worthy, 79 receiving yards and a touchdown. Are they the real deal?
Tough to tell with the Chiefs, DG. I mean, they look like it some weeks they don't. I mean, it's a Christmas Day game. They had everybody watching, so I would have expected them to show everybody that, hey, we actually do know how to cover the spread. But I don't know, man. It's tough to tell at this point with them. Maybe this is the time of year that they're waiting, right? Maybe it's just after winning back-to-back Super Bowls, you're like, well, let's just get to the playoffs, and now they got to start getting hot as they get into the playoffs. So maybe they are.
Yeah, they might just be heating up at the right time.
Yeah.
They did officially clinch. Raphael, I know it's the Kansas City coaches for you, but are they the real deal? Because they look like it very much yesterday, and Pittsburgh looked like they gave up late in that game.
I mean, if you look at yesterday's game, no, I think yesterday's game was just the Steelers losing it. I mean, Russell Wilson did some Russell Wilson things again, and it just shows that they don't have that second or third key guy on offense that when you take out Billings, you just pretty much take it all out of his hands, and now you have Russell Wilson, who looked really bad in the pocket all game long. So, yes, the Kansas City are only one loss, but they're the only team in the NFL that has not scored 30 points this year. And we've seen the Bills, the Lions, who easily put up 30 points. If they have to go through them, even Baltimore, if they have to go through them, I think they're going to have to use it with their offense. And so far, I'm not really sold on that offense.
See, that I was shocked. I know you sent that out. I think it was late yesterday about the Chiefs not scoring the 30 points. I was shocked with that number because they have looked so good, and they're obviously the best team in the AFC. But I'm going to come over and switch gears to you, Peyton, because this is your team, the Baltimore Ravens. They go 31-2 versus the Texans. It was demolishing. It was you could turn it off. There was no buffering chances in that game because nobody was really watching it at that point. But Lamar goes 168 passing yards, 2 touchdowns, and then he has 4 carries, 4 for 87 yards and a touchdown. He had a long of the 48, which is crazy. I'm just going to keep reading off these stats. Henry, 147 rushing yards and a TD. Andrews, 2 receptions for 68 yards and a touchdown. Lamar officially passed Vic for the most rushing yards for a quarterback. Crazy game out of him. Crazy career out of him. What do you make of this Baltimore Ravens team and even Lamar Jackson?
Well, it's an awesome look for the Ravens because Lamar, I really haven't seen him pull the ball and run for a 50-yard touchdown in a while. Really, I don't remember the last time he's done that. So it was good as a Raven fan to see something like that, see he still has confidence in his run game. Obviously he does, but and not just giving it to King Henry every time, who had a phenomenal game as well. But I wanted to turn the game off. I am a Raven fan. I wanted to turn it off at like halfway through the fourth quarter. It was an absolute blowout. I was trying to change the channel. There's 50 of us watching in the living room. We had Celtics Sixers on. It was the Celtics came back, 3-point game. I'm like, guys, come on, we got to turn this on. And they're all like, no, what are we doing? So I had to watch the rest of the 31-2 game. But, hey, it was still good. We saw Keaton Mitchell get a couple carries at the end. He looks great as well, really, really fast. Nice to see those guys come in and play well as well.
Yeah, they did. They looked great, and you could turn it off and felt comfortable hanging out with your family. But Seabass, last thing for you on this game is I know everybody was awesome about Michael Vick, and we'll get into that there in the Educate and Entertain to kind of go through it. But is it crazy that the Michael Vick experience, that's really what it was called, and now Lamar breaking his record, it goes to show that how much of a freak athlete and how underrated Lamar Jackson actually is?
Lamar Jackson is incredible. I mean, he's got to be considered in the MVP race this year over with Josh Allen. But the kid he throws. And the thing with Lamar, much better passer than Michael Vick was. Watching him play the game is fun in itself. I mean, I watched the guy all the way back in college, was making me a lot of money then too, and just knew it. Right system, right place. He's a dominant quarterback.
Yeah, he has been amazing this year, and he's definitely in the MVP discussion. And we'll probably get into that a little bit into Educate and Entertainment. I have some questions for the guys, but I don't want to get too far into the show. I know everybody's here for the picks, so let's go ahead and pull up the screen, and let's see where we start off today. Let's go Peyton, and then we'll go and finish up with Seabass in the NBA. But let's go ahead and start you off, Peyton. What you got today?
Yeah, I'm going with the Seahawks tonight. Team total over 23.5. The Bears allow 23 points a game. They've given up an average of 34 in their last 3 games. And Geno's been brutal lately, as we all know, but he's got to get himself a good game going tonight against, a great matchup against a bad news Bears defense. So I'm going with the Seahawks over 23.5 at -115. I'm also going to take the New Orleans Pelicans team total under 105.5. The Pelicans have the worst offense in the NBA, scoring 100 points a game. And they're going to have to go up against the top 3 defense against the Rockets with the athleticism and just the length that the Rockets have on the defensive end, I don't really see them getting over 105.5 points. So I like our chances for the Rockets to hold them under this number.
The Pelicans have been a travesty this year. I know they're injured, and I get it, but my God, they're on the struggle bus, as we all say. It has been definitely a tough time for them. So I do love that that under. We don't see many unders on here, so I like that underplay there, Peyton. All right, Raphael, what you got tonight?
We're going to the NFL game first. The Seahawks team total touchdowns over 2.5, even money. Make sure you get that even money. They've hit this prop 3 out of 4 games. And the Chicago Bears, since their soul got ripped away from them in Washington, their defense is giving up 27.8 points per game. So I just think the Seahawks easily put this number up. And then we're going to go to Sabonis from the Kings. The Kings have been awful. They lost 4 straight, and they haven't scored 100 points in back-to-back home games. But I like Sabonis over 33.5 points and rebounds laying the 3 nickels. He has hit this prop bet 4 out of 5 in back-to-back games. I think the Kings play much better tonight with the Pistons in town. I think these hit this number.
Sabonis does play well against the Pistons, so I like that play. It's a good pick for you. Something that Big Poppy 20 in the chat, college baseball right around the corner. AB is today. He's working the production in the back. So I appreciate that. And everybody, I promise you, save up. Make sure you get those pennies, whatever you can, save up for college baseball, because AB in college baseball is unmatched. It's very much like the no-fly zone. They very much go together. But let me go to my picks, and then we'll finish with Seabass. But I have Zach Charbonnet tonight in the game. He's going against Chicago as a bottom 3 team versus the run. And Chicago, against the running back position, has allowed them to go over 75% on the season. That means that anytime that they have a actual number in the game, Chicago's allowing the running back to go over their number. So I'm going to go over 66.5 at -120. And then I'm going to go to the kickers. You know I love the kickers. Jason Myers tonight, over 1.5 field goals at -105. He has the second highest kicker rating on the model at expected field goals of 2.5. So we're going to ride with my guy, Jason Myers, tonight. All right, Seabass, you have a little NBA parlay fun. What you got?
I do have a little NBA parlay today. These have actually been hitting for me a lot lately. I think I'm on like a small heater in my last 3 days on the show. So we're looking to keep this going. We're going to take Miles Turner to go 6+ rebounds. So over 5.5. He's done this in 9 of his last 10 games, 17 of his last 20. He averages 7 a game on at home. And OKC is 6th worst for rebounds at the center position. Then we'll head down to the Washington-Charlotte game. Miles Bridges. We got 2 Miles tonight. 2 Miles. Never mind. Miles Bridges, also 7 out of 10. 3-0 versus Washington. And Washington is worst in the league versus the power forward position when it comes to rebounds. So take both these guys, 6+ rebounds, parlay that for almost even money.
Yeah, Seabass got the Miles parlay. I have a Myers, so we're all over the place. Seabass, about 20 seconds. The NBA, they obviously had the 5 games over on Christmas Day. Any chance that they had a better day than the NFL?
I would say no. NFL is king. No, NFL is king. I mean, when LeBron's got to come in the post game and say, the Christmas Day belongs to us, you're trying too hard. The NFL did nothing but have Beyonce. I mean, it was Beyonce. My wife, who never watches football, guess what she did? She watched the Raven-Houston game, or she called it the Beyonce Super Bowl. But
Raphael, 15 seconds. You feel the same way that it's still NFL was king yesterday?
It was until after the halftime of the Houston game, because I can guarantee you the ratings went down after Beyonce went. Nobody watched that game with 2 points on the board. And heads off to Netflix. No buffing issues.
There definitely was no buffing issues, because I'm not sure anybody was really watching. But we are, listen, we're going to have a great day. We're going to get into a lot of the educate, entertain of talking about Lamar Jackson surpassing Michael Vick. We're also going to get into a little bit of Pete Carroll talk. So we're going to be right back here on Stadium. All right, for all of you OGs, we stay live for you here on YouTube. But I want to kind of keep going on with that discussion we had with the NBA and the NFL. And I'm going to ask a simple question. And Peyton, you haven't got to go and talk about that yet. But I know that the NBA had a better day overall in games, right? The games were much better, but the NFLs were blowouts, but still the NFL is king. my question is if it works the same way going forward and the NFL says, we're going to keep playing on Christmas Day and we're going to kind of keep that slot, there were no games on Christmas Eve. Should the NBA decide to run and kind of own Christmas Eve?
It's not a bad call, especially if you're looking at a couple really, really good NFL games on Christmas Day. I think fortunately the NBA this year didn't really see themselves going up against too many great NFL games. It was a 19-point game, and then the Ravens blow out 29-point game. So I think, a lot of people were flipping over, or in my case, a lot of people wanted to flip over to the Celtic game, but they couldn't. So I think we wanted to flip over to a lot of NBA games, but I think people were keeping on NFL just because NFL is king, and that's just how it's always been.
Yeah, they're definitely king. Seabass, should the NBA decide to move over and own the Christmas Eve day?
Well, they decided to try and own Christmas Day. It depends on what day of the week Christmas Eve falls on. If it falls on a Sunday, then you're screwed again. So I don't know what the NBA needs to do, but they've got to get something together. The ratings are down. The games just don't seem to be as enjoyable. NBA before New Year's. I mean, Christmas used to be the kickoff for NBA. That's where we got the best games, the best matchups. And then NFL is winding down. They take over and take us into early summer to get us past the early part of baseball. So I don't know what they need to do, but they got to figure something out, because if the NFL decides they want Christmas Day, it's going to be theirs.
Very much so. 10 seconds, Raphael. Should the NBA move over and give it to the NFL?
No, once these old guys leave the league and the league changes foot, we saw Wemby, who blew up yesterday. He's going to be the face of the league. The NBA's fine. They just need these old guys to hang up their jerseys.
Yeah, get out the old, in with the new. All right, that's all we got so far right here, but we'll be right back on Stadium. All right, we are back here. Then you are watching Driving the Line. I am your host right now. I'm DG stepping in for Coach, but we've been talking about a little bit of the NBA and the NFL. But we have so much we want to get into. Let's go ahead and do a little educate and entertain. All right, we hit on a little bit of Lamar earlier, and so Seabass, I'm going to start with you on this one. Lamar Jackson officially passes Michael Vick for the all-time rushing record by a quarterback, and I know that Michael Vick was amazing. Everybody gave him his props, and he had the full Michael Vick experience. So going forward, we have a lot of years left for Lamar Jackson. Really, how much further could he push, I guess, that crown that he would be carrying and just make this record maybe untouchable?
He has as long as he stays healthy, he has all the ability in the world to put this thing into the stratosphere. I think the only guy that maybe we see close to right now who's young, maybe Jaden Daniels, but I mean, that guy's the size of RG3, and if he runs anymore, he might get broken too. I think this is going to be Lamar's record for a long, long time.
You feel the same way, Raphael? Is this like a record that he might just be able to make untouchable?
Untouchable is a bad word to use because he can get hurt. I mean, the way his style of play, especially how he played yesterday, I mean, he can get hit and they're on it. But does it really matter how many rushing yards? How many ships does he have? And when we talk about quarterbacks, it's only Patrick Mahomes we should be talking about. I don't care how many yards Lamar Jackson runs for. How many ships does he have?
Wow, just like you and Michael H., Lamar has to prove in the playoffs. No more excuses. Peyton, you are the Ravens fan. I held you for last on this one. To really submit himself into the legacy, and I know Michael Vick did not either. He was just himself. He was an electric player. He was awesome. But can Lamar just really submit himself into the league as a whole, but also in the lore of college or NFL football?
Yeah, I think Lamar also, as a Ravens fan, though, it's tough to say, but he needs to prove himself in the playoffs. He hasn't yet, and he needs to prove himself in some big games, especially against Pittsburgh. I think he's still 2-4, 2-5 against Pittsburgh now after that win previous week. But Lamar, he looks great, and it's great that he got that record. But I mean, he's 27 now, and with the running quarterbacks, it's tough because you don't really know how they're going to age if they're just relying on their run game. So I also don't think it's untouchable because I think a lot of the quarterbacks now in the NFL we're seeing can run the ball. So we might see some new up and coming quarterbacks running just like Lamar is.
Yeah, Lamar has been great, but just like everybody's saying, like it's the injuries that could happen. It's the proven success. And Seabass, are the Ravens for real this year? Because they completely obliterated Houston yesterday. Are they actually for real?
I think the Ravens are for real every year, and then they get into the playoffs, and then it's a disaster. And I don't know what changes from 1 week to the next, but they have the players in there to be able to win and compete. And maybe it's just not turning up that next level of intensity in the playoffs thing, and they can just play the same way that they've been playing all season. And I think that's maybe what we saw from Kansas City yesterday was, hey, it's getting down to the playoffs. It's time to stop messing around. Let's get serious. I mean, Kelsey had one of his best games of the year yesterday. So I don't know. I would love to see them. Not that I'm a Ravens fan, but in the area, we all know when your local sports team is doing well, business is booming. And I would love to see more people in the restaurant put some more money in my pocket so I can just donate it to the books again. So, yeah, it's time for them to step up. That's going to be the one thing knock on Lamar. Raphael touched on it. You got to win something at some point.
Right. For sure. And he's going to have to win to actually submit himself into the legacy and the lore of the NFL, because you can only be so good individually, but if your team's not winning, then, your team's going to have to restructure, and then there's money issues. There's a lot of things that could happen with that. But let's stay into the NFL. I love what AB is doing over there with the comments. I want to get into that Mickey Mouse game because there's a funny spot and a funny meme that I saw coming through. But I want to go back to that last. But let's go to this next. We had hold on, AB. Hold on to those real quick. I do want to hold that one. Let's go to Pete Carroll first, because this is the NFL, and I want to stay with the NFL right now. But Pete Carroll has now kind of had discussions and potential to go to the actual Bears. Raphael, your thoughts? Because Brian says Pete Carroll, the Bears, please no. Heard that rumor yesterday. So it is a rumor. It's discussion. As a Bears, I guess exec, would you welcome in a guy like Pete Carroll?
I think what the Bears are doing are saying that, hey, we're going to kind of come out and talk to Pete Carroll to try to bring other people to interview for this job, because we haven't really heard many coaches want to say, hey, you know what, I want the Bears job. I think this was a decoy to try to get, hey, someone from Detroit to maybe get this job, maybe someone in college to get this job. I just think they brought his name. I don't think they're looking at Pete Carroll, but they need his name to try to promote this job.
That's interesting. I like that. So you're saying just bring up the actual level of the job because of the name. And Peyton, do you agree with that? But also, your thoughts on Pete Carroll returning to the NFL. Would that be a good fit, whether it's the NFL overall or the Bears?
Yeah, I mean, head coaches in general and just coaching in sports in general, you're hired to get fired. And with the Bears, everyone's getting fired. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a little iffy for Pete Carroll to step in there. But, I mean, I think the Bears do need some kind of role model like that who has been around the league and has been coaching and who's known to be a good head coach. And they need something like that because they just have not been making good decisions on the sidelines recently at all. I think they need someone like Pete Carroll who's been there.
That's a great discussion point because Pete Carroll has for sure been there, and he was there in Seattle for so long. And eventually it just kind of runs its course as to a coach being in a certain system, but a certain team. And so it might have kind of overworn its welcome a little bit there. But the Bears are a mess, as Brian Tonsoni says. But Seabass, to you, would this be a good fit? You're bringing the old head instead of a new person that might be like a Ben Johnson. If you had a decision, would you bring in a new up-and-coming guy to fit this team, or you bring in the old school guy?
I think it depends on the direction the Bears want to go. Whoever is the GM, I don't know his name, or whoever is making the decisions over there, that's where the change really needs to come for the Bears. I mean, if you look at who they've drafted in the last couple of years, especially at the quarterback position, no one's staying very long. With no consistency, you're not going to build a team you cannot win. That's just my take on it. So is Carroll the guy? He's the type of coach that's going to come in. He's going to want control. I don't know if the Bears are ready to give that up quite yet, but they should definitely look into it.
And back to you, Raphael. There's so much happening in the chat with the Bears. I love this because I love how kind of polarizing the Chicago Bears are just overall. But Raphael, you do have kind of the same question, but you're the exec here, and you're wanting to bring in a potentially either the young coach or the old coach, but your team is a young quarterback with kind of the older wide receivers surrounding him. What changes would you make, and which direction would you go with the older coach or the younger coach?
I mean, no matter what you bring in, you need an offensive coach to come in because you have your quarterback, and that's pretty much all you have. I mean, you have pieces around that quarterback, but none of those pieces can maybe stay for a while. Your quarterback is going to be there for a while. So I think you're looking for one. And then again, I think they bring in Carroll to try to lure in Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is the guy they want, but people either he's going to stay in Detroit or go somewhere out of that division. So last time I checked, the Bears and the Lions are in the same division. So I can see them bringing that name to try to lure in Big Ben.
Wow. Ben Johnson has been the hot name for sure. And so I'm curious whether or not he would actually stay in that division or where he actually goes to set himself up, because he can stay in Detroit because they have all the pieces around. And so I'm curious if Ben Johnson just plays this out perfectly to take the best job possible with the best quarterback. But Caleb Williams is definitely a up-and-coming quarterback. It's whether or not that he believes that he can actually win. But let's switch over to the NBA. And Peyton, I want to start with you on this one. We had, and I honestly, I don't know about you guys, I had not even heard that the NBA was doing Dunk the Halls. That's what it was on, I think it was ESPN, Disney Plus, kind of the same thing that they've been doing for the NFL. But it was the Mickey Mouse, I guess it was their Dunk the Halls. And the funniest thing happened is I saw Wemby go down the lane, and then he tripped on, I think it was Quentin Grimes. And all of a sudden he falls into the floor and completely disappears, and a yellow star kind of goes up above his name. And somebody was talking to like, nobody wants to talk about the fact that Wemby died on Disney Plus yesterday. So did you see any of that game at all with the Mickey Mouse?
I didn't. I didn't see it at all,
You
but
missed
it sounds awesome. I missed the whole thing, but I watched the whole game, and Victor Wembanyama is just unbelievable. But it's crazy because when you see or when you face a guy like that, you're just hoping he misses because he's open every time he shoots. It doesn't matter how tall the guy is in front of him. Obviously, he's the biggest guy on the court, but when he shoots, he's open, and you just gotta hope he misses the shot. And he didn't miss many yesterday, and the Knicks were in trouble for a long point in that game.
Yeah, Wemby has been incredible. I know that you're more of an NBA guy as well, Seabass. So I want to ask, did you see that at all? But two, my other question, as I see your answer, two, do you think it's actually a good thing that they're trying to do this with the Disney Plus stuff for both either the NFL and the NBA?
So, no, I didn't see it. No, I didn't even know that was a thing. But I kind of like the idea. I think it gets people who may not be as entertained or involved in watching the NBA. It's a way to bring in new people to watch and get them excited about it. I think Nickelodeon did some stuff with this back a while with the NFL and stuff. So I like it as a technique or whatever you want to call it to get people interested in the game. And yeah, I mean, he better be open. The guy just shoots from up here anyway. Who's getting up there? Yeah, that kid, quickest to 200 3-pointers made in the NBA as well. So yeah. Kid is awesome.
He has been amazing. Raphael, did you see that at all on the Disney Plus?
Of course I did. I actually recorded it because I wanted to watch it, the whole thing from there. I was watching live, but it was a marketing failure. Disney Plus made this decision late, and when they made this decision late to bring the Mickey Mouse, ESPN and ABC could not market it. So that's why it was only marketed on half the station. So it was a marketing bust, but I think they'll change marketing next year.
That was the issue. Is my only thing with it was the fact that I didn't even know that it was going to be playing, and I was looking through as I was getting ready to switch over to Netflix because it was kind of sputtering on me. I went and looked at my YouTube TV, and ESPN whatever Plus or something pops up, and it had that game on it. And then I went to Disney and I saw it, and I was so confused because I had not heard one thing about it. But it was definitely pretty good. But we have so much more that we want to get into. We're going to get into Thursday Night Football. We're going to break down the over-under on the guys, and we're going to break down the game completely as soon as we're back here live on Stadium. All right, we are back here with the OGs, and I want to start down in Texas. We're going to talk about a little Luka. So, Peyton, I want to start with you because you're down there in that market overall. And so Luka gets hurt yesterday in the first half, and now it's a calf issue. He didn't look good. He went to the locker room. He left on crutches and is potentially being labeled as out indefinitely just because they have no idea what's going on with that. But the MRI later today, should reveal what happened to him. My question is the Mavs right now are 19-11. They're fourth in the West. If Luka is able to come back at some point, do you think that there's any chance the Mavs can kind of hold off on kind of staying relevant until he can return?
Yeah, I mean, two words here: Kyrie Irving. Because last night he was awesome, right when Luka, like from the second Luka dropped, and Kyrie really just took over the game. But they still lost. But he took over the game. Kyrie needs to just dominate while Luka's out. He needs to put up a lot more shots than he has been. I think he's putting up like 10, 15 shots a game when Luka's in there. When he's out of the game, he's putting up 18, 20. We need to see him more in that 25 range because that's what the stars are putting up now. And you see Luka putting up 25 shots a game, and we need Kyrie to be doing the same thing. And he also needs to find the open guy like Luka's doing. So it just makes guys like Kyrie, his role so much more important on this, not only the scoring side, but assist side as well, finding open shooters like Klay Thompson and Quentin Grimes just to be standing there by themselves.
Yeah, and as Japan agrees with you, Mavs came back from 24 points down. Uncle Drew went to work, even though they didn't win. But definitely Kyrie played a great game. But same question to you, Seabass. Do you think there's any chance that they can kind of hold off on kind of staying relevant until Luka returns, if he's able to return, because he might not be if this calf injury is that bad?
The Mavs are definitely going to need Luka if they want to go anywhere in the playoffs. But for them to survive while he's out, I think we're going to need to see a lot more production from Klay Thompson. I know he's on the downside of his career, but if we can get a little bit of 3-4 years ago Klay to just shoot the rock and hit some threes, I think it's going to be great for them. What I think this also does is Kyrie now. So remember when Kyrie
we're about to be live back here on Stadium. All right, we are back here on Stadium. We had so much discussion that Seabass wanted to keep going on. So we're going to keep on with this discussion real quick before we get into a little bit more of the Thursday night stuff. But we're talking about Luka, which is obviously went down with injury yesterday. And so the first half, Luka goes out. It's a calf issue. And there's so much that we're kind of getting into and breaking down because this is important because the Mavs obviously went to the finals last year. They're a really good team. And Seabass was breaking down a little bit of how this team can survive in the regular season. So Seabass, going back to you on that one, I had to kind of interrupt you a little bit. We kind of ran over on time in the break. But Luka now, big player on this team. How important is he for their playoff potential, but also the regular season?
Forgot we were in commercial. He's definitely important for the regular season. The Mavs need Luka if they're going to make it anywhere deep in the playoffs. But last night, Kyrie being able to be old Kyrie was great. I mean, he was the guy in Cleveland until LeBron came back, felt that he could run the team on his own, so he left, right? Now he's in Dallas. I think you got a great player in Luka. But if Kyrie continues the way he's playing right now with Luka out, the way he did last night, this might then take some of that pressure off Luka, and maybe they can start working more together and split that up a little bit. I think they can become a really dominant team as they get into the playoffs. But they definitely need Luka. They just don't have the depth right now on their team to be able to go far if he has to sustain any long-term missing games for any long amount of time. Get it out. Jeez.
Easy enough for you to say. Rafi, I'm going to last question. I want you to kind of put a bow on this. Are the Mavs in trouble just during the regular season, but are they in trouble in the playoffs if Luka can't return?
I mean, I think he'll return in the playoffs. I think they'll keep it slow because I think Quentin Grimes is going to be the guy. We keep on mentioning other members of the team, but I think Quentin Grimes, we showed yesterday, he's coming in more minutes. I think he's going to be able to provide. And then look at the trade market. We have the trade deadline coming up in a couple of months. Jimmy Butler's on that list that he said he'll play for the Mavericks, so maybe they'll interest on that one. So I would say they're okay because they still got two names, but I'm looking for Quentin Grimes to boost her up.
Quentin Grimes is a sneaky play. I like that. I love the NBA knowledge here. We don't get to talk about it as much. It's not king as NFL is, so we don't get to dive into it as much as I would love to. I'll have to talk to Coach about that when he returns. But we're going to get into all of the NBA later on, but we're going to get into more of the Thursday night football in this discussion. and we'll break down the games, and then we'll get into a little bit of the prize picks from Peyton. But Peyton, let's go ahead and start us off with this right here. We have the Seahawks that are favored by 4 going into Chicago. The line is 42.5. Just overall on this game, do you feel a certain way on either the spread, total, or any other way?
Well, I mean, the Seahawks -4, I'm hammering. The Bears are terrible. I don't know what else to say. The Bears stink, and the Seahawks, I think, are going to mow them down tonight, especially on the offensive end. The Seahawks are going to score a lot. I don't really see Chicago's offense being able to keep up with them. So with that Bears offense, it kind of makes me a little iffy about the total score. So that's why I like the Seahawks team total score and the Seahawks to cover this game.
Yeah, you and Raphael are both on the Seahawks to definitely score tonight. Raphael, going to you on this, do you feel that the Seahawks should win this game? Because even though they're coming off of a 2-game losing streak, they're still into the playoff potential. And the Bears, they have lost 9 in a row at this point. It has been ugly there in Chicago. But overall on Seattle, do you feel the same way that they really have a chance to win this game outright and the spread?
Unless Papa Noel gave the soul back of the Chicago Bears. If not, then I think it could be an ugly game, which we saw yesterday. But the only thing that scares me about Seattle is how healthy is Geno. Since he's been hurt, he's been really, really bad on there. So that's why I'm kind of tending to play the over in 42. I think the Seahawks will be able to score, but can I get any scoring from the Bears team that's just, you said it, how many games they've lost? They've lost a lot of games, and they still have no soul.
Yeah, the soul is they're lifeless down there in Chicago. They're struggling, and that's why we've been talking about the coach. This has been a Chicago Bears kind of show today, but they're definitely struggling there in Chicago. And Seabass, to you on this one, Seattle, a sneaky little stat of the day, Raphael. But Seabass, the stat is they are 5-1 on the road this season. And so is Seattle going to go into Chicago and win this outright, but also cover the spread?
They better cover the spread. This is one of the first spreads that I've seen this year that I actually really liked and jumped all over. But now that everybody else is on it, now I'm kind of feeling iffy about it. But Seattle should go into Chicago. They're a much better road team than they played home. Chicago, we've already talked about, are terrible. Seattle in the playoff picture should go in and cover this spread. You're trying to get right for the playoffs. That's where they should be going, and that's where I'm leaning as well.
All right, I like it. All right, well, let's kind of move into a little bit of the prop section, and AB will hook us up a little over and under. And let's start off with the quarterbacks, if we can go to them first. And we're going to go and we're going to let the Peyton lead us off today. But we're going to start with the quarterbacks and go Peyton. If we could piggyback Peyton, Seabass, you got that? Seabass second. Peyton, Seabass, and then Raphael. So we're looking at this. We're going to go with Geno Smith first. Peyton, who you got?
Well, Geno's going to have to throw for them to be winning this game, but 248 is kind of a high number for me. I'm going to take him under this projection because I think they're going to be running the ball in the second half.
As much as I don't like Caleb Williams and have talked bad about him all year, 211 is a low number. They're going to be playing from behind. At least that's in my mind what I think the game is going to be. So I'll take Caleb Williams over 211.5.
I agree. I think Caleb Williams is going to be playing from behind, throwing 211.5. And here's a better stat: the Bears are 5-28 when playing as an underdog.
Wow, 5-8. I like it. Look
5-28.
5-28.
Yeah. 28. It's 4 touchdowns.
Wow. All right. So we have Peyton. Your thoughts on Caleb Williams, because I know you didn't hit on him. Do you think he has a good night as well?
I like him over, the 211.5 because I don't think he has a great night, and he might have a decent night out there, but I don't think they're going to score the ball a lot. So I don't really see him having a red zone type game, but I see him at least getting his team down the field a little bit and getting 212.
Seabass, the last question to you. We're going to stay on the quarterbacks, but last question to you. Do you think it's more of a running game than a throwing game just overall?
For either quarterback or just the game in general?
Yeah.
I think Seattle, they're going to have to ball control. I think if they can get up early, I think we see a lot of running from them.
Okay. I like it. All right. Let's kind of spin that straight into the running backs. And this time we're going to stay on just one side, and then we'll go through Zach Charbonnet, and then we'll give our picks, whether over, under, and then we'll circle back around to DeAndre Swift. But let's go through and start with Peyton first. Zach Charbonnet, obviously on that, it was 66.5 when I saw it. now we have, which is this beautiful graphic. Everybody give a little props to AB on this graphic. This looks amazing. And I don't know if y'all realize this. The brand's not even a year old yet, very much close. But the graphics and the show in general has looked amazing. So this looks just dynamic. But let's start with Peyton. Going to you, Zach Charbonnet, over under.
Over. Dynamic, just like the way Zach Charbonnet runs the football. He's running really well, and he had a really good game last week. He looks pretty good behind Walker, and with him not playing, I'm going to go with Charbonnet to go over this projection because I see him in the second half running the football.
I like Zach Charbonnet over that 67.5. I think if Seattle can get up early in the game, they're going to rely on him a lot, kind of save Geno Smith, fighting through some injury. I think Charbonnet is the guy they got to rely on late in the game.
I agree. I think the over is 67.5, even though my wife thinks it's a nice red wine, but Zach Charbonnet has a big game.
I love that. I love that so much. That was really good, Raphael. All right, let's go to DeAndre Swift. We going over or under, Peyton?
I'm actually going to take Swift over this line. I know they're going to have to throw it if the Bears are going to be down, but Swift has been really their offense, just feeding him the ball, giving them a couple first downs is how they moved the chains with DeAndre Swift. So I'm taking over 60.5.
DeAndre Swift, this number is a tough one for me. I know he's got to get the ball in his hands, but I could see them throwing some little dinks and dunks to him as well, maybe some screen passes out of the back. I'm going to take DeAndre Swift under the rushing total of 60.5.
100% agree. Under and 6.5, but look for receiving and rushing yards over. I think they ding to day Swift all day.
Yeah, and as Michael H says in the chat, if that was a total yard, Swift would be more interesting just because of the receiving. So maybe look at target his just receiving yards as a whole. That might be a better look. But let's go ahead and go to our wide receivers here. I know that everybody's kind of been a little bit out on the quarterbacks. But Peyton, if you'll go ahead and start us off with DK Metcalf, over or under that 61.5.
Yeah, I like more Jackson Smith. He's been awesome lately. So if I target receiving yards, I'm gonna go with him. I'm gonna take DK under the 61.5.
I'm going to go the opposite direction and take DK over the 61.5. We haven't really heard a lot from him this year, and with this being a primetime game, be great for him. He's easily able to break a big one for 50, 60 plus on one play. So give me that over at 61.5.
I like the over 61.5 against DraftKings Metcalf, but I also like his longest receiving. So give me DK Metcalf over 61.5.
All right, last guy. We have Keenan Allen. Also, we have DJ Moore there as well. But Keenan Allen is what we're looking at on this screen. We have an over and under of 59.5, Peyton.
It's about time that Keenan Allen has finally started to prove himself that he's one of Caleb Williams' guys, and he's been going to him a lot more recently. So I like Caleb Williams throwing in a lot tonight. So I like Keenan Allen to get the 60.
With that 211 passing yards that I took for Caleb Williams over, those yards got to come from somewhere. So 60 of them, right to Keenan Allen. Give me the over.
Agree, over on Keenan Allen. But look at the tight ends, too, for the Bears for over. I think they're going to be targeted as well.
Speaking of that, staying with that, Raphael, we have about a minute left. The tight ends have looked good just overall, especially in this game because Noah Fant going in playing in Chicago, who gives up a lot to the tight end. But which tight end do you like the most out of Noah Fant, or is it Cole Kmet that's there leading in Chicago?
I like Kmet. I think he's going to have a really good game. I think they're going to be focusing on the running backs and the wide receivers. I think he might be open in the middle a lot.
Wow. All right. So it could be a fun game there in Chicago. The weather looks to be good. Have we had any line movement, Raphael, on this game that's kind of significant at all?
There's 4.5 out there, so maybe they're copy and paste to other books. Where there's more line movement in a bowl game. Pittsburgh and Toledo. Now Pittsburgh is now -6.5. It was 7.5 pretty much the last 2 days.
I can't do the college football at the moment because there's too much volatility because players just all of a sudden don't want to play, or we don't realize that they're not playing, and there's been no information on it. And so I've kind of stayed away from college football for sure. But when we get back, we're about to take a break. But when we get back, we're going to get into Peyton's PrizePicks. So give you what he's playing. We're also going to look at a little bit of the whip around. If you missed our show in the very beginning, if you missed our plays, that's why we do the whip around for you. But we'll be right back here on Stadium. All right, we are back here with all of the OGs and the degenerates, as Coach wants to call them. But I want to go around. We just had Christmas yesterday, so let's share a little bit. Seabass, I'm going to make you go first so we don't run over. Seabass, is there any gift or anything, any memory, anything yesterday that you want to share that might be awesome to kind of discuss?
That's an easy one for me. Just my son's first Christmas and being able to spend that with him. Being in the restaurant industry, I've worked a lot of Christmases, a lot of holidays. I'm lucky to be with the company now that we're only closed one day of the year, and that day is Christmas. So it was just great to spend that with him and enjoy that moment.
Yeah, shout out to you, Kirk. A little $20 super sticker. Thank you so much. Everything that is given into the show only makes the show better and allows us to maybe get new programs that allows AB to work his little magical fingers to make this look even better than it already is. But same question to you, Raphael. Anything, a gift or just a moment, anything that you really enjoyed from yesterday?
Thanks, Kirk, for that $20. AB is using it at McDonald's right now as I speak. But yesterday was just an interesting. I don't want to say it was a normal day. I loved watching a whole bunch of Christmas movies with my wife when I was going back and forth working and watching NFL games. But it was weird. Christmas night, me and my wife watched Beetlejuice, a Halloween movie on Christmas night.
Wow. Only you knew. Okay. Joe's saying that Chuck already hit a bet this morning. If you missed the Tuesday show, he gave out all his Thursday plays. So make sure if there's any more that have not started yet, go back and look at the Tuesday shows and pull up that screen. But last thing to you got about 20 seconds there, Peyton. A gift or a moment yesterday that you really just enjoyed the most.
I'm just thankful I get to fly out here. I'm in Maryland now to come out and see the family. It's so expensive and a hassle to travel now, so it's nice to be out here and see everybody. And yeah, we had a great time. A lot of people we got to see at the house, so that was awesome.
I thought you were saying, I think that's what Raphael was chuckling at, is fly out of here. So I thought you were trying to leave quickly. But yeah, mine's same thing. It's children. Anytime you can see their joy with presents or anything, birthdays, Christmas, whatever, it's always fun. But we'll be right back here on Stadium. All right, we are back here, and this is Driving the Line. I'm your host today. I am Daniel Greer, and we have these three good-looking fellas, but we have a little prize picks that we want to get to. And so we've been holding this off long enough. Everybody's been calling for it. So Peyton, if you'll go ahead and show us what you got here today for Peyton's prize picks.
Yeah, let's just hope everyone stays healthy for me today. Shout out Luca. Oh my gosh. And I'm going to go with Caleb Williams first to have more than 215.5 passing yards. Seattle is going to be winning the game tonight, and being behind is no surprise to Caleb Williams. So he'll be comfortable in the fourth quarter throwing it, which is where I think he's going to get more than 215 here. I'm also going to take Jason Myers, Seattle's kicker tonight, more than 1.5 field goals made. I know DG's got this one going. He's hit this in 3 of his last 4 games. Seattle's going to get the ball in the red zone a lot, but they've only punched it in 50% of the time the last 3 games. So I think we'll see something similar tonight, and that'll give Jason Myers plenty of opportunities to hit more than 1.5 field goals. I'm also going to take Geno Smith, less than 34.5 pass attempts. And win or lose, there's no way he's throwing the ball 35 times because simply he just doesn't deserve to throw the ball 35 times. With 3 picks or with 3 interceptions in 2 games, they're going to be running it with Charbonnet, and sure, he'll throw it, but 35 is just too high for me to take on Geno Smith, especially when I see Seattle winning this game.
I love all 3 of these, and I saw these come through early this morning, and I looked at them, and I'm like, wait, that matches up with everything I like. So we like you better than Soupy, we'll say, Peyton. We like you much better. Seabass, you are a prize picks guy. You're a guy that likes to dabble in this. How do you feel about these 3 picks?
I love all 3 of them. That looks like a winner to me. Now, Peyton, I don't see a lot of your prize picks. I don't play them in my state. We don't have it. These flex or straight power plays or flex plays?
This I'm gonna depend. It really depends how confident you feel about the picks. You could go flex plays when you have 3 or more. When you have only 2, you have to go with a power play. But these 3 picks, I'm gonna throw down a power play and take 5 times whatever I win here. So I'm going with the 3-pick power play. You call this?
I like it. Raphael, I know you do this all the time.
Oh, yeah, prize picks. Oh, I dream about them. I do them in my sleep. But prize picks, underdog, all these ones, I'm old school. Just give me straight up sports books.
Yeah, I have tried to dabble in this, and I always screw it up somehow, some way, whether it's the power play or do I go and take the 2, and then if 2 hit, then listen, I'm not the guy to do this, but I'm glad we have guys like Peyton, but also Seabass, and then unfortunately Soupy that do these, and so it's been fun getting to learn this as well. But if you did miss the beginning of the show, shame on you. Let's go ahead and look at the plays that we had this morning. We're going to get into a little bit of the whip around. All right, we have our plays up, and Peyton, you just went. Let's go the same order. Let's start with you again. What you got today for your plays?
Seahawks over 23.5 today, and I just don't see the Bears being able to stop the Seahawks. The Bears defense has just been brutal lately. They've given up 23 points a game, 34 in their last 3 games. So I like that Seahawks 23.5. I'm also taking the Pelicans under 105 total points scored tonight. And they have the worst offense in the NBA. They're scoring 105 points a game on average, and they're not going against an average defense against the Houston Rockets. The Houston Rockets top 3 defense in the NBA. So I think they hold the Pelicans to under 105 points tonight.
From one no gym brethren to the other no gym brethren, Raphael, what you got?
Wow, that's too low. That's under the belt. I'll take the Seahawks team total TDs over 2.5 even money. Since the Bears lost that Hail Mary game, their defense stinks. 27.8 points per game they've been giving up. So I think the Seahawks have no issue cashing. And they give me Sabonis, the big guy, over 33.5 points, rebounds, -3 nickels. His career stats against the Pistons, he's averaging 23 a game and almost 12 boards a game. So I think he has a big game tonight at home.
All right, I like those plays. Let's go to the gym, guys. I'm going to lead us off there, Seabass, because I have more gyms. I'm going to go with Zach Charbonnet over the 66.5 rushing yards. It is at -20. He's going against the Bears. They give up the rushing yards to the running back position like it's their job. So we're going to go and ride Zach Charbonnet there. And then Jason Myers, me and Peyton together on this one. This could get dangerous. We're going to go over the 1.5 field goals at -105. Seabass, you got a little parlay.
Yes, for my 2 gems, I've got a 2-man NBA rebound parlay today. Miles Turner, 6+ rebounds. Miles Bridges, 6+ rebounds. Both of these guys going up against defenses that allow a lot of rebounds to their particular position, and they both average about 7 a game already anyway. Put them together, even money parlay.
I like it. All right, last thing we're going to get into. Let's look at the NFL playoff picture as we're currently how it's been out. And so obviously Kansas City has been playing well, and they're now looks like 15-1. And so I have a little bit of a side question on this side, but Kansas City now, they're going into the last week. They've clinched the number 1. If you're looking at playing next week or even this week on plays, Raphael, would you look at being careful in the last week because guys could be subbed out at halftime. They could not play their full minutes. They could not get their same reps. Is there anything you're wanting to do and how you attack certain props? Because this could get dangerous because there could be minutes or some shadiness going on.
I would say props. I would say stay away. Game, maybe not, because we all learned what the Patriots did when they were going undefeated and they rested last week. And did they win the ship that year? I didn't think so. I think Eli won that ship. So you're going to see players still play. Now, how much are they going to play? I think Kansas City is still going to play all their guys. How long? That's probably the $1 million question.
Yeah, it's going to be definitely pretty interesting. And Seabass, I'm going to go back to you on that one. Same thing. Kansas City has clinched that. But now if you're looking at the last week, maybe that they get Mahomes out early because he has had that ankle issue, but they do have a week off because of the bye. And so how are you possibly attacking this? Because it's just kind of a little dangerous in deep waters for sure there last week.
I'll be completely honest. I'm not attacking it at all. I'm just going to sit back, watch as we get into the playoffs. These are just tricky times. It's tough to call. And I can't imagine what Raphael and those guys go through trying to make a line and trying to distinguish, well, is the coach going to play his guys? How long? And those lines are shaky lines and waiting for people to bet them into the right place. I'm just going to watch and observe.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's go to the NFC real quick. And Peyton, we're looking at the Eagles here, and we have a Saquon Barkley kind of going for the record and rushing yards. He could get it more this week, but then there is a last week potential there. And so, are you looking for anything in any way to attack a props, whether it's this, which are our games Saturday and Sunday? Are you attacking this at all and being careful, or are you looking for maybe some plots to kind of help you kind of direction on what you're going to play?
Well, I am never going to rely on a coach just to put in my players. So I'm always going to stay away from these props if they're kind of pulling away and they don't need to play these guys. But with Saquon going for the record, you got incentives involved and all that and such. So I really hope he does get it, and I hope he does play from a viewing standpoint. But from a betting standpoint, I would not take these guys.
All right, let's. I don't know if we have the Howie Schwab results on the actual. I'm not sure if I can get that from AB or not, but we do have the Howie Schwab play. So look at that. Make sure. I'm not exactly sure which direction we're going to go with the actual play. And so I don't see anything coming through on that. But make sure you tune in today as we do have good content coming out for the rest of the week. It has been an incredible show today, just overall. We had so many stats. I threw out one. Raphael had a couple as we threw out today. And so it's just been a good day on the network just overall. And so make sure you tune in. But looks like we do have the Howie Schwab play of the day. It is going to be the Seahawks at -4. That's what the crew is going with today. So thank you all for voting on that. But that's going to be it for us today on the show. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. I'm not exactly sure if we're going to have Coach back tomorrow or if I'm still going to be doing this as well. But thank you all for hanging out with us. If you're celebrating Christmas or you're celebrating any time with family, enjoy it because this is the most special time of the year. But for Peyton, for Seabass, for Raphael, and our guy AB, never forget about him. Maybe producer man is sleeping today. But what an incredible show today. Thank you all for hanging out. I am DG, and this is it for Driving the Line. We'll see you as we party at the pay window.